she was seen running down the road screaming with blood all over her. And then they got there and he was there as well. And she just said, "Oh, I had an accident."
She dropped her daughter at a friend's home, then vanished. Gold Coast mum Tina Greer's violent bikie boyfriend is the only suspect in her murder, but Queensland's Coroner's Court is refusing to hold an inquest.
She called me when I was maybe 10, saying like goodbye, because he had guns and stuff buried on his property, and she was certain he was going to kill her that night.
Welcome to the Bikies Inc podcast. This episode is about domestic violence, and here I'm joined by Lili Greer. Lili, you're a student of anthropology. This episode is about domestic violence and bikies. Now, sadly, you know more about that than most people and anyone ever should. Now, your mum Tina was killed. Can you just take us through that day of when she disappeared and what you know about her final days or final moments?
Yeah, so as you said, my mum was, they suspect, murdered by Les Sharman, who was a member of the Finks motorcycle gang, and I guess he was her on again, off again boyfriend for probably 4 to 5 years. So on that particular day, it was the 18th of January 2012, so I was 13, just about to start high school, and in the morning, my mum went out to the shops or something, and I was at home, and she was going for kind of like too long in the morning, and she came back and she was like quite upset, stressed out, and like just, I suppose, anxious would be the best way to describe it. And we went school shopping because I was just about to start high school. Yeah, so we went to the shops with my friend at the time and her mum, and like got school shoes and pens and stuff. And then we quickly went back home. Mum grabbed some stuff because the reason that she was going to see him at his property in Boona, or near Boona, was... And
where's that? Is that on the Gold Coast or...?
It's about 2-ish hours away from Beachmont, which is like the Gold Coast hinterland where we had a house. She got her stuff, I got my stuff, and she was going there because we had just got our own place. We had lived there for about a month in Beachmont, and her car was vandalised. So we didn't have a washing machine at the time, so she needed to go do our washing and send her car back because it was gonna rust, obviously, because the paint had been like stripped off it. So yeah, she dropped my friend, her mum and myself off, and then got in the car and was going to drive out to his property, do those things, then come back the next day in the afternoon to pick up my friend and I for another sleepover. So it was quite a fun time. We had like a lot to look forward to. Her birthday is on the 26th of January. So it was like a week out from her birthday, a week out from school, like a lot going on in the time. But the next day I didn't hear from her, which was like quite unusual considering we had a lot of contact, and she's not the type of person just to like not let you know she's running late. So then I guess that's when the missing person situation like started up. My friend's parents were kind of like, what's happening? Like, do we report it now? Do we wait? Like, what? We don't know this how to go about this. So I think it was maybe 3 or 4 days later that it officially got reported to the police. So that was that day.
So why do you think the car was vandalised?
It was like the end of the violence, like the last kind of like violent things or intended to like scare us. So basically what happened was they were in a relationship. It was abusive. He didn't want her to leave, but she didn't want to be with him anymore, wanted us to, start a life. And I didn't know at the time who it was, and neither did she. But when she kind of put all the pieces together, it's pretty obvious what happened. So we got our own place, and we only lived there for a month, but pretty much as soon as we started living there, there was somebody kind of outside in the middle of the night. It's crazy. It doesn't sound real, but basically there was like pot plants broken on our veranda. Like you could literally hear someone outside. We reported it to the police. It was, the upstairs landlord knew, and we were thinking who could it be, but I believe it was him, or he asked someone to do that to kind of scare her back into living with him for like safety reasons. That was, I guess the main catalyst ultimately that did lead to her death, because like she went out there to fix the car and we were going to move there, but obviously something happened between them that evening that like obviously she's not here anymore. But it was a long process leading up to it. I guess any person in their right mind would just say like, why don't you leave? But it's really not simple. Like those relationships, like they kind of go in waves. Like something bad will happen, then they'll make up for it, or like be really nice, and then like again it just keeps happening in like those types of flows. But I think by the time she knew that it wasn't safe, it was already too late. She would tell me, she called me when I was maybe 10, saying like goodbye, because he had guns and stuff buried on his property, and she was certain he was going to kill her that night. I think there's still a long way to go with domestic violence, and people acknowledging the severity of it. But it's I'm glad that it's moving in this direction.
If you want to hear more, check out bikiesinc.com.au. That's bikiesinc.com.au for the full podcast and all the episodes.